Hi there and welcome to this week's Sunday Girl. And yet again, the sun is shining. How lucky are we? So I hope everybody's enjoying the sunshine, and I have such a special guest for you tonight. I'm going to read it. So after a successful acting career on stage in London and on screen here in Ireland, this week's guest fulfilled a long-held dream to become an author and a playwright, and she began to write. First short stories, then two critically acclaimed novels, Harvesting, a fictional tale about sex trafficking, and Bright Burning Things, a tale about addiction. And over lockdown, I can tell you that she has completed an early draft of her third much awaited novel. Everyone, please welcome Lisa Harding. Lisa!
Orla, so
thank
great
you
to
for
be
joining
here.
us in the sunshine.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's amazing. It's so warm.
Isn't it?
Beautiful.
Isn't it? It's beautiful. Summer has eventually arrived.
Stunning. It's so
At
lovely
last,
to be here.
much awaited. So listen, we have about 10 minutes, so we're going to head straight into it. So can you tell everyone a little bit about Lisa Harding?
You did a great job there, I thought. Yeah, it's really thrilling actually to see the two books. I haven't seen that. We have two books here. So I didn't start writing until I was 40, as you know. But prior to that, I was an actress and I was writing plays in London. And I only started to write prose when I hit 40. And kind of wonderful to start something new at that age. And I went and did an MPhil in Trinity, which was brilliant because, you know, I was one of the oldest, but I loved it because the experience of studying later in life is joyous, you know, when you go back to something.
Because you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely loved it. And but yeah, it's really exciting. So in the last 7 years, I've had two critically acclaimed novels in the world, and never thought I would. And the third one, as you say,
And the
is
third
on
one
the way.
on the way.
And
It's
the
like
third one's
children,
on the way.
really, isn't it? Like the third one on the
exactly.
way.
I was a late mama.
And I'm
The
going to
late
start
book mama.
everybody back a little bit before you started writing, because when I first met you, you were an actor.
Yes.
And you had just returned from a successful career in London,
Yes.
and you were working in Ireland. And I remember the first time we met, actually.
Yeah.
I think we went out to the Radisson and
we did a photo shoot.
we did a photo
It was
shoot
amazing.
there. And you were very busy. You were very busy at
Well,
that
I was
point.
in Fair City, I think,
That's
at
right.
the time.
You were. You actually at the time had one of the key plot lines, from what I remember.
Yes, because I was brought in as the first lesbian lover.
That's right.
And there was a year-long. Yeah, it was. You're right. It was one of the big plot lines. Great fun because my lover was Ciara O'Callaghan, and she was a friend of mine in Trinity. So we hadn't seen each other in about, I'd say, 15 years, and suddenly we were cast opposite each other, and yeah, that was a lot of fun that year. And then I went on and did a play, and it was around that time that I started to think I actually want to write words myself. I don't want to be only speaking other people's words.
Yeah, I think that's
So that was
really-
kind of the time I made the transition. Straight after that, actually.
It's so interesting because when I was reading about you, because I know I read about you a lot in media, so congratulations on all the success. But I remember that actually those lines that you've just said there really kind of resonated with me.
Yeah.
Is that you actually got to that point, you said, you know, I'm not going to be speaking other people's lines.
Yeah.
I'm going to be.
Yeah, and that was interesting because I think that was also because I had done a couple of plays and I didn't fully believe what I was saying. I did a couple of new plays written by male authors, written for women, and I remember thinking, you're not quite inside this character, and I don't fully believe these lines. So that's why I started to write for women late 30s and 40s, yeah.
Okay, tell us about your first book, which I remember myself and Anne went up. We were so proud of you, Lisa. We remember going up and we went to the Shelburne to have drinks on your behalf beforehand. We went down, and what a crowd turned out for you as well. So this is Harvesting, which is your first book, and I believe has now been optioned for a film. And it's in
further than
production.
optioned. Yeah, we're developing. So I am co-writing with the director of the Derry Girls, Michael Lennox, who's wonderful to work with, and we're handing in a draft in the next couple of weeks to the BFI, British Film Institute. So it's taken years. It's taken about 2 years to get to that point, because the process of adapting a novel to a film is actually quite tough.
And you're writing the screenplay now as well, aren't you?
I am co-writing
Co-writing
with
the
Michael.
screenplay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. And but the thing about a novel, if you think about it, it's probably about 9 hours of TV if we were to get all of the storylines in. But we're only doing a 90-minute kind of film, probably quite an art house film. So it's been tricky to kind of pull out, to edit and hone in on what exactly we're doing, but it's very exciting.
And for anybody who hasn't read the book, give us a quick summary of what Harvesting is
Yeah,
about.
so this is
a very emotional book. I found it emotional and disturbing in some ways.
It is, but equally it is a very political book because it came about because of my involvement in a campaign which was called Stop Sex Trafficking of Children and Young People in Ireland, run by the Body Shop and ECPAT International. And I was absolutely, I was floored, there's no other word for it, at the kind of, how prevalent it is in Ireland, that the fact that traffickers come to Ireland, the fact that there's sex tourism in Ireland, how young they are, the fact that there are Irish girls trafficked within Ireland. And it took hold of me, that story, and I did never set out to write anything about this topic because I felt like, who am I, to write this? It's not my first-hand experience, but it just possessed me. And yeah, and I'm really glad I did it now because there's nothing sensational or graphic, as you know.
No, there isn't, no.
Nothing.
But yet you feel the full horror of their situation.
Yeah, what I wanted to do was kind of make the reader, and in the film too, just fall in love with the girls and recognise that, they're young they're sisters, they're best friends, perhaps one day mother, but they are all of us, and it could be any of us, and to humanise them and to stay with them, not to, we didn't want to, we didn't want to objectify, so we stay with them and in their beautiful little imaginations and their souls, because they're only teenagers, teenage girls,
young girls,
and there's a lot of giddiness and there's a lot of love and there's a lot of, there is sweetness in there too, but it is the worst of human nature. There's nothing darker. Yeah.
And your latest book, which is out since, when was this released?
The end of March.
That's right, I thought March.
Yes.
So, Bright Burning Things. Okay,
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Bright
Another
Burning
cheery
Things.
book. It's something else I feel very strongly about, actually, but this is more personal to me because this is about addiction.
Okay.
And I have, people in my life who I love very much who suffer with addiction. And it has affected my life, as it has many people in Ireland and all over the world.
I think everyone has an addict in the family.
Yeah.
So this is Bright Burning Things. It came out in March, which of course was, bang in the middle of our last and hopefully ever last lockdown. So I imagine you're only starting the publicity.
Yeah, and I didn't see it in
now.
the bookshop until 2 weeks ago.
I suppose even printing presses, etc. I suppose it was very,
it was
difficult.
very strange. Didn't get a launch, but it's wonderful because this came from Bloomsbury in the UK and it came to Ireland and it's going to Paris and it's going to New York. So I am going to get to go to America in December, which is fabulous.
So you're going on
and
a promotional book tour in America with this.
Yeah.
Lisa, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Yeah.
And this, I believe, has been optioned for a movie as well.
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible.
That's in.
Like, you're so modest. Don't tell us anymore. We'll read about it. We'll find out all about it. But it's very, very exciting. And your last piece of news, of course, that you were busy over lockdown. You were writing again. Can you tell us even any little kind of what's it about?
Yeah, funny. These are very intense, actually, and they're quite traumatic books. And the third one, I think I just couldn't take it myself. So I have written. It is dark, but it's quite thrilling, and it's a campus cult novel, or a cult campus novel. So it's got all the elements of everything I love. I love cults. I love reading about cults. I'm utterly fascinated how they form, how people get,
drawn into them,
drawn in, immersed into them, and they're young. They're all kind of 19, 20, 21. So it's a very exciting time.
And is it set again in Ireland?
It's set in Dublin, but because there's been so many novels set in Trinity, I have called it something else to give it a more universal,
appeal.
Yeah.
I think that's
but
a good idea.
It's a more exciting novel, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as interior and not as immersive and intense.
What it influenced us is that we either went for escapism or we kind of burrowed deep into ourselves.
And it's true. And like, everybody was watching so much Netflix, and I was watching lots of thrillers, and I don't usually, and I don't know if you saw Mayor of Easttown. So amazing. With Kate Winslet.
Put that on the list. I've heard about it.
But lots, so I was watching kind of lots of like exciting, dark, thrillery things that I don't usually devour, and maybe that's why that came out of me. I have an idea for another book that could be more kind of back to this track. You know, it's a coercive control relationship. You know, that kind of way.
And tell me, when is your third book out?
I don't know yet because it's early.
Let's
early
promote
days.
this first. Let's get the movies
No, it's
made
early
for
days.
these first.
it could be a year or two away because there's always a gap.
Of course.
There's
And
a
tell
lead
me,
in time
you
as
are a
well.
busy lady. Okay. So what do you do in your off time, in the rare moments you have off?
I don't know about that. I don't have kids, so I have what do? I have a little dog, as you know, who I adore, who is my baby, and my hairy baby, and we walk a lot. I jog. I mean, usually I would travel, but the last year, that's been pretty
That is
hindered.
about to change dramatically, though, I think.
I hope so.
with all of
Yeah.
this happening, I imagine that you're going to be very
I
familiar with
hope
the inside
so.
of a plane. And
But yeah, I
Very
I
exciting.
exercise. Like I like
I
jogging.
remember
like,
playing.
we're looking forward to the world opening up again and more freedom. Yeah.
and it will deliver. It will
It will
deliver.
deliver. It's
Exciting,
coming. Here I
exciting
am.
times
Here I
are
am,
here.
Kerry.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
from
as I was
Dublin,
saying
so
to somebody
exciting.
recently, it's the joy of just sitting down and talking to someone now,
Mm.
which is something we didn't value 3 years ago. We'd sit down and that was just
It's
so
incredible,
regular.
isn't it?
Sit beside each other
Yeah.
and to talk
Yeah.
and to enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah.
That and sometimes
Yeah,
is
I-
almost enough.
Yeah,
at
I
this
think there's a
level.
lesson in that.
Yeah.
I think there is. Like, you know, we were saying that just enjoying the small things in life now.
Well,
The
Lisa,
sociability.
continue to burn brightly, okay? And
Thank you so
much for chatting with me, with all of us here. And again,
My pleasure.
follow Lisa on Instagram. She's kind of new to it, but you know, she's
Kind of
she-
hopeless.
she's getting there. So for updates, follow her on Instagram. And both these books at the moment, they're available in all good bookshops, okay? So keep an eye out for them. And listen, everyone, have an amazing week.